We're ready for the next step of fixing the little things. One of the things I'm going to do is fix some of these lights. We got a intermittent socket over here and a socket over here that makes the bulb really dim, and that kind of varies while you're playing. Another big thing that's kind of bugging me is up on the display here. We got some light bulbs that are not working or barely working, and some of these others will flicker out. So we're going to fix all these to make them much better and more reliable. I've got the back part of the head in the service position. As you can see here, there's no more score reels showing through the glass. So this is how it looks when you've got the game kind of in the service position here. Definitely a little freaky because that thing's really heavy. Good thing I've got all those bolts and holding the head in place. So we've got our latch up here that stores this guy. And here's how it normally sits. And interestingly enough, when this is all the way forward, it keeps the glass in position as well. I mean, the glass won't fall back, but it supports the glass. Lower this back down very slowly onto its stops, and you can hear the glass kind of rattling around. We have to remove these brackets, one there and one over there, and then I'm going to pull this glass off. And my plan is to work on these strips right here. And you can see this bulb here is real dim. I can rotate the whole socket and it'll brighten back up, and you say, oh, it's fixed. But play a few games and it'll rattle around and it'll just be real dim. So we're going to fix all of these. They're all loose. Yeah, see right there. Yeah, like you can see, we've got some others here, but this is kind of what she looks like. Well, I'll pull the glass out, and we'll take another look at it. Back box board assembly back in the normal position, and this will be much easier to work on these little sockets that like to spin oh so much, so easily. They'll just spin, and they'll all eventually shut off or go to, and this thing just spins way too much, and the only ground connection is from the base to this piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean the connection between here and this metal piece and solder it, and if I feel the need, I'll run a little jumper to each wire as well. So I'll be pulling those off next, and we'll take a look at it. It's kind of cool to see all the score reels on here, but what challenge it was cleaning all those, if you ever seen that video of mine. So here we have one of the assemblies out. Super easy to unsolder here, and better to unsolder it in the back there than here, 'cause it's a lot easier, a lot more room to work. With the heat expansion and whatnot, the crimp between the barrel here and this other piece loosens up and causes electrical issues. Now there's a second part. We've got our other wire coming along here, and if you take a look real closely, there is a brass piece, crimp piece, right underneath this little pin, and that is also swiveling real easy on there, which means that's going to be the other part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Dremel, we'll shine up a little bit of this area, we'll shine up a little bit of this area, and we'll bridge the gap with some solder. That'll fix that half. And then I'll just take another piece of wire and I'll clean this part off, and I'll jump the wire from 1 to 1, making a new wire. I'll probably just get rid of this wire. Yeah, because it's right over top of everything, so that'd be kind of a pain to leave it in place. And that should help a lot. And let me grab one thing that's going to help also. Besides using solder, the solder has some of this in it, the soldering flux. What this does is it allows the solder to, for all intents and purposes, to bite or meld with the metal easier, stick to the metal easier. So this stuff, you can buy it in tubes or syringes or whatnot, but it's just kind of a goopy stuff. And after you clean the metal, put some of this down, solder will stick much better. Okay, here we are. I'm partially way through this repair. I've cut a section of wire from my spare wire pile, and actually what I did, I decided to use these handy dandy strippers. They're great for splitting the insulation in the middle. So I split the insulation there, and there, and there, and that way I'll just be able to bridge these together, and that will make the lights much better. And I'm going to have to make a little, probably at the end here, I'll loop this wire up to the top wire. So everything's connected together, and I've already got the soldering done here. So we should have a nice bright light for basically till the bulbs burn out. Should be good. Okay, I'm done modifying this one. And the wire turned out really nice. Quite happy with that. And I looped it up to the upper bar here, or the upper wire. So one side of electricity comes in here, and it gets a good strong connection to the bottom of the light bulb, and daisy chains onto the other ones. And the other leg of the electricity comes in on this bar. And now that it's all soldered nicely, we'll get a good positive connection. All these lights should be nice and bright. Now I got 3 more to fix. Got everything installed, and they're looking great. The camera's really toning down the brightness here because I'm really close, but everything works great. All the bulbs work great. Of course, there's going to be an issue if there's a little corrosion in here, but it'll be fine. Interesting note, when I was cleaning up these various light bulbs, there was some that were black at the top. I think you can see that there. You can see their tops are just a little darkened. And while they're not burned out yet, the main thing, the reason why I changed them is to prevent, basically what would happen is they'd burn very, very brightly, and then they would burn out, and that'd cause a lot of excess heat, so it's best to change them out now. All right. Let's move back here and see if she adjusts the color and everything. Alright, there's that. We still didn't adjust the color, but hey, that's alright. It looks pretty nice golden yellow in the video. There it goes. There's the color. Cameras are great, aren't they? Amazing how much better that looks when all the bulbs are working properly. This is going to be so much nicer. Even though most people will never notice one burned out bulb or something, it still adds to the overall impression of a game when everything is working properly. Here we are with the underside of the playfield up in the full service position that is rusting up against the back box, and that is the preferred way to work on these. It's really not that great to use the prop rod here. Besides, it only supports the playfield on one side. But what we've got to deal with next is this bulb right behind the drop target there. There it is. That bulb right there has really irritated me for a long time, because if I grab onto the wire for it, see it get brighter and dimmer and whatnot. So that socket needs to come out and either get replaced or get fixed. Here I pulled the light socket out, and as you can see, I'm just going to put just a little pressure on it. It is very loose, the crimp between the base and this piece. Here we are. I got it soldered up in the corners here. It's not the best solder joint, but it just has to be pretty good. And I ground down just to get the oxidation off the end there. Put a little bit of solder blob on there, and it's ready to go back in. And hopefully it will be more consistent, because it's been driving me nuts. Hooray! Here we are. And if I jiggle the wire for the light, now stays nice and bright. You can see the light hopefully jiggling around there a little bit, as I am moving it around. It's crazy. Yeah, it's working great now. We're on the final stage here of fixing all the little stuff, which is the lockdown bar is the last thing. I got a sticky lockdown bar and pulled out the shooter rod, which is super easy to do. And what we got going here, we'll just jiggle this thing out of here. And there we go. Lockdown bar is super simple. We just have a lever here, and this is a sliding plate. The issue with these on the Gottliebs is they do not come apart easily because they're riveted. So we got rivets in the top, right here, and we got a rivet for this guy here. So we can't really take this apart and polish it up or anything. This is the bar that's sticky, and if I had a big enough ultrasonic cleaner, I might try that. It's not really rusty per se, so I'm not going to go down the route of soaking it in evaporust, because I don't think that'll really help. Evaporust only deals with rust. So I'm going to put some lubricant in here, And if that doesn't work, I'll hose it out with some brake clean, but we'll try some lubricant first and see what that does. One thing that surprised me here, I got it working. It's working super nice. This is the best I've ever seen it. Jungle Queens is really nice because it's really a clean machine to begin with. But one thing that surprised me, it helped out a lot, of course, when I put some lubricant here and here and on the pivot. But it was still binding up some, and I didn't quite understand fully what it might be. But it really just got a lot better when I put some lubricant right in here, because I think this was, because it was dry in here, it was pulling it down, pulling this sliding bar down and kind of causing it to jam up. But now it is working really good, and I am very happy with how it works. Gonna install it in, and we're gonna call it done.